Hello there. My name is Mike Ryder. I am a solutions architect here at N2WS. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use what we call our AnySnap Archiver or importer policy. So we have the ability to import existing EBS snapshots that were not taken by CPM or N2WS, and we can archive them into S3 um, to any tier really for longer term storage to potentially save significant costs. So first thing we want to do is we're going to come over to policy and we're going to create an importer policy. So typically we would come over here to the left and we would select AWS or Azure policy. But in this case, we're going to come all the way over here to the right where it says new AWS importer policy. So we're going to click that and you can give this just a friendly name, whatever you'd like to, whatever you'd like to use. We'll come over to import parameters, and then this is going to be the range, right? So for example, maybe I just want to go back a couple days and I want to start the scan at midnight. And then we have an end time. So by default, it's up to the import start. So from this time to as soon as you start the import, but then we can also switch this on. And so maybe, I just want the last year, right? From 2023 to 2024 or something like that. You can specify that. But by default, it's going to do up to the import start. And then backup record interval. So this is an hour. So what this means is it's going to break up this time frame into this many hours, right? So 6 hour blocks in this case. That's the default. So what it means is if there's multiple backups taken of a resource, so say, there's 4 backups for an instance in this 6 hour period block, it's going to grab the latest, most recent backup, and it's not going to take the other 3. So you can keep it like this, and if you want, more, way more frequent, you can go all the way down to, 1 hour every hour if you want. That's up to you. And then we go by tags. So we have to have tags involved here. So we would do new, and then we would say, I need a key. So it could be, environment, prod, or non-prod, whatever the case, anything, right? And then we can even use it as a prefix. So say, I don't want this value. I want everything any key that starts with an environment, I want to include. So we don't need a tag value at this point. That's my prefix, right? So that'll include, so it could be environment. That'll include prod, non-prod, anything else, right? 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to go over here and configure how long you want to keep them in S3. So it could be a year, it could be, just a few months, it could be multiple years, and you can even transition all the way down into cold storage, right? So it could be, multiple years, and then you'll just select which S3 bucket you want to use, and so this is the S3 storage class, right? So this is going to be for this here, so not years, right? So this maybe just a few months. And I want to keep it in S3 standard, maybe infrequent access, intelligent tiering, and even all the way down into Glacier instant retrieval, which has similar benefits to Glacier. And then cold storage, which class I want to keep it here. It could be Glacier, it could be Deep Archive. And then I'm going to save that. So I already have a policy configured and ready to go. So I'm going to go look at that. So that's this one here. So if you look all the way to the right here, you'll see this little icon here that says not started. It means it's configured, it's ready to go, but we haven't ran it yet. So I'll open this up. So there's my name. So I'm just looking for the last couple days. How many hours? So I'm keeping it at the default 6. And here's my tag key, right? So I tagged, a couple backups with this tag, and then we're going to go to storage repository configuration. I'm going to just keep it in there for a month, and I'm going to keep it in standard, so it's ready to go. So one thing you can do before you start the import, because once you do it, it's done, right? So we can do an import dry run. So you can click on this here, and you'll see the dry run started. And it's going to ask where to keep it. So I'm just going to download this log. And this may take a second, so I'm going to pause just for a second. Okay, so this dry run report is ready. So I'm going to drag it over here. So you can see the two snapshots that it identified. I'm just going to give you all the information, start time of the backup was. So all this. So these are going to be the two that are going to be archived into S3 for this policy. So I'll close this. I want to save it. So we know it's going to work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the import. So I'm going to click start import, and it started. So now you have the icon that changed over here that said it's scanning with a little. Well, this will change after a second. The magnifying glass will change. There it is. So now this changed to, it is now importing the resources. So 0 out of 2 were copied. So now what we can do is show the imported backups. So we can even show the log. And if you look at this log, you might see some errors here. So like this is failed to list in Calgary or, Africa. So this just means that there's a service control policy that doesn't allow my account to access these specific regions. So if you see this, it's not a big deal. It's not going to affect the regions that matter to you. So, like I said, this one works. This Asia Pacific works, Sao Paulo works, but just not Asia Pacific Melbourne, right? And then you might get these alerts up here as well, and I'll show you that at the end. But what we want to do is show imported backups. So this is going to bring you to the backup monitor, and here it says, storing to storage repository. So it's still in progress, so we want to refresh. And this will eventually kind of give you a percentage on how far along it is. So this does take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause for now, and I will show you what it looks like when it's done. So just to give you an idea of what I meant by the percentage. So for example, right now it's on 40%. So it'll eventually climb and you'll see it, climb as it goes. So then you just click refresh periodically and you should see this change until it completes. Okay. And now you see it was stored in the storage repository. So what we can do is put a check here and we can actually view the snapshots. So we can see which snapshots and then that they were stored in the storage repository. And then if we come back to the policies, we'll see that icon change, that 2 out of 2 were stored there. And then same thing here, we can show imported backups. Well, we did that already, that's not what I want to. Import log, I already kind of showed you that, but you can go all the way to the very end. These are typically pretty long because they default scan every single region. And then if you come back and said, okay, tag scanning completed, starting backup completed, and done. Now, if you want them just to live in S3 and you want them out of your EBS snapshots just for money savings, you can actually come up and select this option right here, and we will delete those EBS snapshots for you. So they are only located in S3. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful. And as always, thank you for using N2WS.